these marks, these marks, these miggity marks are losing their minds. These marks have lost their mind. Tony Khan, I have a newfound respect for Tony Khan. I'm sure it'll last about 3 minutes. Tony Khan has done an interview with Vince Russo and Jonathan Coachman, and Cornette is having a meltdown. Meltzer's having a meltdown. All the fruitcake, all the puppets in this little cult, this little internet mark dirt sheet cult are having a meltdown. Oh my God! Why would Tony Khan speak with Vince Russo? Because I gotta give credit. Tony Khan is more of a man than Jim Cornette ever was or will be. He's more of a man than Dave Meltzer because he'll go on Vince Russo's show, and Vince Russo is a gentleman. Vince Russo is the type of person, he'll let you speak your mind, explain yourself. He'll have a back and forth with you that won't be belligerent and nonsensical. Jim Cornette is a coward. Cornette don't want to talk to anybody if you don't think exactly like him. Typical atheist behavior. Praise the Most High. All right, this better not get me copywritten, that damn song. All right, so Vince Russo, let's get here. This is fascinating. Now, I actually have not watched this, but I've been reading all these marks crying, so something on here must have been tremendous because these miggity marks have lost their mind. Why would Tony Khan speak to Vince Russo? Now, of course, these AEW glazing groupies, they keep framing it as, Tony Khan humbled Vince Russo. Tony Khan said he forgives AEW haters. Once again, a bunch of morons. Because someone criticized you doesn't mean they're hating. How about you're delusional? These people that want to label everything hating. No, how about you're just a groupie? It never ends. Let's get into it.
Waiting for this one, haven't you? You've been waiting for this one. What's good, everybody? Welcome into a very special live episode of the Coach and Bro Show. Of course, I am the coach, and we told you
Russo would have made Coach the WCW champion or the commissioner like Ernest Miller in 2000.
A couple of weeks ago, and we've been talking about it for months. But before I even get into it, I got to bring in my
Where's Ed Ferrara?
Partner, because he helps that.
Cornette spit in his eye. You know how good your aim got to be to spit in someone's... My God. Cornette spit in Ferrara's eye, and then Big Show spit in Cornette's wife's... Well...
This whole thing up. The greatest writer in the history of pro wrestling, of course.
You heard that. The fact. The greatest writer this business has ever seen. JCW, the real hottest company in wrestling right now. And I told you people I was going to have some JCW reviews. I will be doing a weekly JCW review, but I got to catch up on it. A lot of things been going on. I need to catch up on I need to go watch the first episode Russo wrote. So I need to watch all them, like binge on them. And then I'll start doing JCW reviews probably every Friday morning. You'll have a review because the show airs on Thursday nights.
The one and only Vince Russo. And Vince, I kind of want to set the tone before we bring Tony in about what we're trying to accomplish today. Because I think this is going to be great for both of us because there's misconceptions out there that we don't like AEW. Could not be farther from the truth. Or that sometimes in interviews, Tony doesn't answer the questions directly. And we're going to just have conversations like grown-ass men.
Should have had Disco Inferno on here.
What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking forward to because when I look at the AEW product and when I look at Tony, I have a lot of questions I don't know the answers to.
Yep.
And that's why I've always wanted to, anything this day to come. I'd love to have a conversation with Tony because, Coach, I've said this. We're going to learn things from this interview. And I hope Tony does as well. And, Coach, I want to say this, too. Man, I give him all the credit in the world for coming on here. There are people in this business who have dodged me for over 2 decades.
Oh, ain't that the truth? Cornette, Meltzer. The only genius this business has ever known, Vince Russo. They've all ducked him.
And the fact that Tony is coming on this show really does say a lot about his character. So I want to put that over to begin with.
No doubt. We want to put over their big pay-per-view this Sunday. It's Dynasty. It's in Vancouver at the Rogers Center. The big main event, Kenny Omega and MJF live on pay-per-view, 8 Eastern. The Zero.
Omega and MJF. I guess that's the biggest match they can pull off with their roster, I guess.
Hour at 7 p.m.
The last I seen of MJF, he was wearing Terry Funk's tights from 1998 or something. I don't know.
It's going to be a really, and they're
Chainsaw Charlie, I don't know.
known for their pay-per-views now. So we got a ton of topics to talk to them about. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, and hopefully not the last, the AEW CEO and president, the one and only Mr. Tony Khan. How are you, sir?
I'm very well. Thank you guys for having me on your show. I really appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely. Take your eyes to the right just a little bit and look back. There, you got me now?
I see you guys.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to get started. Tony, you just heard my preamble.
Tony Khan is goofy as hell. He's goofy. Bless his little Mark Hart.
And this is not a gotcha interview. We're so excited to just get to know you and to kind of take the handcuffs off and for the audience to get to know you.
Is Coach wearing makeup? He looked like Savio Vega.
You as well. Is that cool?
Yeah, it sounds great. I really appreciate the opportunity. I thank you guys for having me on, and I'm excited to talk with you. Thanks for talking
You think Russo ever wore a tie? Maybe to Owen Hart's funeral.
about wrestling with me, and
Jesus Christ.
you both certainly have tons of great
Good
experience. And like you said, I'm excited to learn from you guys and hear what you think.
Awesome. Go ahead, Mr. Russo. Kick us off.
That Owen Hart joke was good Lord. My God. The company sued his wife. How does somebody die in your company, but you sue their wife? Vince, if you think Vince McMahon and Triple H, if you think that whole family is not, well, I guess Shane might be normal, but nah, Shane is falling off cages and stages. Oh man, bunch of Luciferians. Praise the Most High.
Yeah, Tony, I was thinking of the first question that can kind of really open up the interview, and I really believe
I cannot stop. Why is Tony Khan smiling like this? It's like he's so happy. I don't. Why is Tony Khan smiling like this? It's like he's like giddy to be on here. I don't really get why he don't smile like this when he's around Meltzer.
this is it. Obviously, when you started AEW, you had goals. Obviously, you have goals today. I would love to know, what were the original goals when you opened the company, and what are those goals in 2026?
Thank you, Vince. I really appreciate you asking.
What a great question. I don't know why, but this just makes me want to laugh. I'm going to have to mute them. I just can't stop laughing. To me, this is so funny. Tony Khan is talking to Vince Russo. The only thing that make me laugh more is if Cornette was on here talking to Vince Russo. But Cornette's a coward. Where's Kenny Bolin?
I wanted to launch a wrestling promotion for all the fans who wanted to see wrestling at that time brought back to TNT and TBS. You know all too well, Vince, wrestling on TNT and TBS is an American staple. And I also believe there was
an American staple. When Tony Khan speaks, why does he sound like he's reading off a teleprompter? As I wanted to bring wrestling back to TNT and TBS, because as you know, Vince, it's an American staple. I'm sorry, wrestling on TNT is not an American staple. What are you talking about? I don't understand.
A huge international audience. I've spent a lot of my time living and working in England, living in London and spending time around England, traveling for football. And I know there's a great wrestling audience there. So at the very beginning when we launched, we had these great media partners, TBS, TNT, and ITV. And all of them have a great history of wrestling. And from the beginning, working with these companies, my goal was to keep the company running strong and producing shows that the fans like. And that's why I'm really happy that we've been able to have AEW grow, expand, add more TV and more media partners all over the world.
Tony, and I want to help you out because I want you to connect with the audience. Can you bring your eyes down because you're looking off the camera? No, to your right, Look, there you go. Right there. That's right at us. Perfect. So one of the things, though, that I learned and we learned in wrestling is that the boys are the boys.
Coachman still has that Titan media training, that Titan camera training. Jonathan Coachman, a legendary Sunday Night Heat play-by-play announcer, him and Al Snow. Oh, man, Coachman. Jonathan Coachman is not a legend. Not a legend. Please, let's not add him to the Mark Henry, Miz, Jeff Jarrett legend argument.
And the
Russo's the greatest.
Executives are the executives. You chose early on to have the boys be EVPs. How did that?
Stupid as hell.
Or how has that gone? And have you changed your mindset on having the likes of Kenny Omega, a Young Bucks, a Chris Jericho be a part of that executive tree?
Well, I'm really excited you asked. We've got wrestlers that have been with us from the very beginning, and we've got staff that have been with us from the very beginning, and some people who represent both the wrestling side and the office side. Those are all great people. You know, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks have been executive vice presidents here since day one. We were really excited to announce their launch, and without the Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega match in the Tokyo Dome in 2018, I'm not sure I would have believed that the economy and the possibilities were there. But when I saw how much really Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega were able to grow the international business with really, in some ways, I thought one hand tied behind their back and have so much interest in audience for what they were doing in 2018 in New Japan Pro Wrestling, a company that you guys are very familiar with.
Sure.
For me, I love working with different sports, but for me, wrestling's always been my favorite thing. So having those guys involved, you mentioned Kenny Omega, Young Bucks as EVPs, Chris Jericho here from the very beginning. They're all instrumental in the creation of AEW. I wouldn't be here without those guys, and they're important to us today.
But I want you to get specific for me, because a lot of fans want to know. You kind of broad strokes, but what do they actually do when it comes?
Coachman is treating him like a child. Coachman is talking like a Titan, a Titan. He has a Titan training. Oh my God.
Comes to executive work outside of their talent work.
Well, it's different in those cases. In Kenny and the Young Bucks case, they had those titles from the very beginning, and they've been very involved in different aspects of the company, creating some of our pay-per-view events from the very beginning. We worked together to really put the elite in all elite wrestling, and a lot of the ideas we had from the very beginning to launch this company came off the back of the work that the guys had done before AEW started. They built a huge fan base all over the world. Ring of Honor is a company where they had worked New Japan.
A huge fan base. The first show did a 1.3 rating. It's doing a 0.6 now. My God, look at his face in this. This might be the thumbnail. They're all asleep. Oh my God, this is the Mozai. Look. When I pause it, they're all sleeping. This is hysterical. This is the thumbnail. A huge fan base. Okay, if 1.3 million people watching the first show, if that's huge, then what do you call Raw when it did like a 7 in 99?
And pro wrestling, they built a legacy, and I knew there would be a huge audience for pro wrestling if I brought these stars in.
Oh my God, these Meltzers and these Cody Rhodes and these people, why do they think 1 million people is a huge audience? The smallest amount of people ever are watching wrestling around the world. That you're allowed to watch wrestling. They could watch wrestling in other countries forever. Japan, wrestling is not new around the world. They've always been able to watch it. Like, oh God.
So they're very involved today in the company in different aspects. Kenny Omega has been involved in different digital projects for us, but also very involved on the wrestling side. And the Young Bucks, to this day, are a huge part of the wrestling show. Chris Jericho came back to AEW after being off the show for a while, but Chris Jericho is always a part of the AEW. We would not have gotten into this position without him. He's instrumental in the launch of AEW.
I will say this, though. This is where Tony Khan is above Meltzer and Cornette and a lot of these morons. Tony Khan, I'd say I don't know him, don't care to, but he probably is a nice person, and I think he's a more reasonable person. Tony Khan is not like Meltzer, who looks down on you because he thinks he knows everything. And Tony Khan is not like Cornette. Cornette wants to throw people away, and you're dead to him if you disagree with him. Tony Khan is not that way. Which is why he would do this interview, amongst other interviews. I've seen Tony Khan do interviews with other people who criticized him. But so Tony Khan can handle criticism. There were some times when he was freaking out, talking about it's bots. Bots don't like us. Everyone's a hater. He did say that. But the fact he's doing these interviews, he don't have to do these interviews. So that means that he's a more open-minded, reasonable person than a lot of these marks in the comments and these morons like Cornette and Meltzer.
I was really excited for Chris to be able to return to AEW.
When is Triple H going to get on here? Now, that's F Cornette and his wife. When is Triple H going to get on here with Vince Russo? That's what I want to see. That will be the interview of the century.
In his home.
Where is Michael Landsberg?
Hometown Winnipeg, and get a great reaction and help us get.
I'm from Winnipeg, you idiot. Winnipeg. What a Paul's name. You Winnipeg. Oh, God. AEW has Transformers running around still.
I think
they have to duct tape their dick before the matches, after the match. Oh, God. What? Oh, God. Can you imagine? Oh, God.
Good buzz for what has been really strong viewership for us. Our biggest viewership in a couple years, which is always a good thing in pro wrestling. We've been really enjoying it. And for me,
please, Con.
I think having a lot of people with experience in wrestling is really helpful, especially at the formation of the company in getting the wrestling TV show going.
You know, Tony, I don't want to harp on.
Tony Khan is so goofy. But he's goofy in a funny way. He's not goofy in like throw him off a bridge way.
This question, but being in the business as Coach and I got to push back on something based on my experience. Okay? Tony, I have always said this. Regardless of what company I worked with. When you have a talent, whether it's a current talent or a former talent in management,
Dusty Rhodes,
there's going to be issues.
Ric Flair.
Because wrestlers,
Triple
let's
H.
face it, Tony, and listen, it's a little different with you because you got wrestlers on the contract, but a lot of wrestlers came up as independent contractors. So what happens is that makes it every man for himself. So now all of a sudden, if you've got a talent in a
Tony Khan is funny as shit to me. I don't know why. This coffee mug is bigger than his face. He's funny as hell to me.
Independent contractors. So what happens is that makes it every man for himself. So now all of a sudden.
Look at his face before he drinks out the mug. He's like an extra on Seinfeld.
That makes it every man for him.
Why is he smiling like this? He's like, this Russo idiot. I have $1 billion and this idiot is telling me how to do something.
Himself.
Coach looks like I miss Vince McMahon.
So now
look at Tony Khan's face before he drinks out the mug.
What happens is that makes it every man for himself. So now all of a sudden, if you've got a talent in a management position like that, he may have.
Tony Khan is drinking vodka. I don't know why this is so funny to me. Oh my God.
Have heat with other talent. There may be some old baggage there. Man, Tony, I'm sure at some point you had to run into that.
Well, Vince, I think in every walk of executive life, there's going to be different people and different backgrounds. And always, in business, there's issues every day. And that's what's great about pro wrestling. It's the only sport that goes year round. Vince, you know the workload better than anybody of what it takes to do this 52 weeks a year, to put on new shows every week and multiple shows. And for me, I like leaning on a lot of wrestling experience. But for me, I also am really comfortable now after all these years in my own ideas. And I like working with people. But, I found a good rule of thumb is doing the ideas I believe in. And I've always found the more involved.
And his idea is Orange Cassidy opening up every show for the last 4 years with a 20-minute match where he's kicking you in the shins wearing these Al B. Shore Jordache jeans.
And the more connected I am with every aspect of the show, the better I feel about it. And right now we're on a very good run of shows that have been really well received by our fans. And I think that's important. In any walk of life, there's different flavors of ice cream. There's different types of music. Different people like different things. But I feel like for the AEW fans, we've had a great group of fans that have supported the show. We've been able to make new fans along the way, bring fans back. As you know, 7 years on television now, as we approach that 7-year anniversary. It's a long time.
What new fans? You were doing a 1.3. You're doing a 0.6. What is he talking? What new fans? Unless he means like overseas, but you're an American company. It's most important your home base. I don't. He must be talking about overseas.
And to have people that have been a part of it from the very beginning, that's a special thing. Because in sports, to have executives, coaches, players to last 7 seasons on a team and to have a good core of them, that's a pretty special thing. And Coach, you work in sports in addition to wrestling, so you see this from the sports side too. To have a team that's had leadership and to have, in my case, the CEO and president, to have a lot of the executives and coaches and a lot of great wrestlers that are still thriving after 7 years, but also have a lot of new, fresh blood that we brought in, new, fresh faces, and an exciting company right now. That's an exciting thing after 7 years.
There's no doubt, and I'm so glad you brought both of those things up because I think you just said you like to do things from your perspective, which is awesome. And I will give you credit that you work in the office of Jacksonville. Your dad owns that, and then you started a wrestling company. Very, very difficult to do. But with that being said, it allows you to be pulled very, very thin. A lot of fans, because we polled them and said, what do you guys want to know from Tony Khan? And one of the biggest things that they wanted to know is when we're seeing these matches and these decisions and all those types of things, because you have so many things going on, do you have a group of people around you? Are you signing off on all of these decisions? And because the wrestling we grew up in, there was a whole room of writers because it's very hard to be as creative as one person. What is your scenario or situation like?
Yeah, I have a number of people that work with me in different aspects, whether it's helping put together the announcing, the on-camera segments, putting together backstage segments. But for me, I try to put together an outline of what I want every week for this specific show, segment by segment. And I think it's good when I'm more involved in it. I definitely see a correlation after 7 years where the fans can tell and want me to be very engaged. And also, a lot of it is making sure it's quality control. And, in any sport, there might be a play that somebody would bring in to the office that might not work for a certain reason.
He's overpaying Okada, Sasha Banks, Swerve Strickland, Moxley, Jericho, and Trevor Lawrence. My God.
Be an idea going into a free agency or a draft that there might not be a total agreement about. And I think having a process where I, am able to be involved over the years, the more I like to call it in the weeds, as the fans have come to describe it, the more I do that, the better the show seems to be received. So I try to stay involved, and that might mean, whether it's talking to different wrestlers about the interviews going into the matches, about what's going to happen in the match. That's all aspects of a wrestling show. And to me, every aspect of the wrestling show under the sun, the showrunner being involved in it is good. Vince, you've had tons of experience working in pro wrestling in different companies, different shows. And I'm sure that you've had different experiences. Some shows that maybe you put together on your own and then came in and talked to people about, and some that you wrote in a room with a lot of people. And I imagine that's a different process for you, right? Versus how you might do one show versus another show.
Well, I mean, honestly, I just had my own way of doing things, and I kind of did.
Wait, hold on. What?
Then came in and talked to people about, and some that you wrote in a room with a lot of people. And I imagine that's a different process for you, right? Versus how you might do one show versus another show.
Well, I mean, honestly, I just had my own way of doing things, and I kind of did it that way all the time. But we're all different. We all do things differently. But Tony, listen, I'm gonna warn you first. This is a four-seamer coming right at your head, Tony. This ain't a softball. Because this is a big pet peeve of mine, Tony.
Okay.
You got to help me out with this one, because I honestly believe overall, this has hurt the wrestling business tremendously. You brought up sports, okay? Jaguars. Tony, I have been a fan of the San Francisco Giants for 55 years, okay? I am an avid fan. I know everything about this team. I have a website presence. I've got 75,000 followers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, I am a fan. I've never been in a locker room. I've never interviewed players. I've never interviewed managers. I am a fan, and I know I am a fan. Now, Tony, you talk about the Jaguars. Jaguars have post-game press conferences. Who's at those post-game press conferences? Professionals. What I'm talking about are people with credentials, people with experience, people with a resume, people that have been around the NFL forever. Not fans. These guys are not fans walking into a press conference. So, Tony, I know you got it from Japan, but you started with these scrums. And I'm going to be as blunt as I can be, because I've seen a lot of these scrums. Okay? Because, Tony, we love the hugging. We love when people come in and you hug them. We get a big kick out of that. So we watch the scrums. But, Tony, here's my problem. We got a lot of...
I always say, where's my drink? And I tell you what it tastes like. What do you think Khan's drink tastes like? Cornette's wife?
Fans in there, Tony. A lot of fans, and
his face is getting flushed.
A lot of people are in there asking you questions and the talent questions, because they got a presence on social media. They've got, 100,000 followers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, they're fans. They're not professionals. They act like fans. My problem with this is, I believe we have made these fans feel like they are part of the business. Tony, they're not part of the business, especially wrestling. Wrestling has always been a closed fraternity, and it's been very, very special. We have literally let fans feel they are now a part of our business. And I really feel that has made the wrestling business lose mystique. I feel that has made the wrestling business lose credibility. I feel that it has done way more harm than good. And I think that's one of the reasons why the WWE stopped doing them. There are other reasons, but I think that's part of it. But Tony, I have to get your spin on that, because I
Jesus Christ, Russo, get to the question. My God, he just went around the world. Get to the question. Damn. Is he drunk?
I just feel like the door is open. Hey, anybody, you got a website, you got 100,000 followers, you got a podcast? Yeah, come on in and ask MJF any question you want to ask him. That doesn't happen anywhere else, Tony.
It's a very interesting point you bring up, Vince, but I think that First of all, there's a difference between working in one job in wrestling versus another job in wrestling. There's a difference between being a wrestling fan versus working in the wrestling industry year round. But I do think that the lines get blurred, absolutely. And the lines have been blurred more than ever. And absolutely.
In other words, I don't want to tell Dave Meltzer he can't come to the scrums anymore.
You mentioned people with big followings and medium-sized followings or small followings.
Tony Khan and Meltzer share a love of 1998 Yuji Nagata matches. And Vince Russo, you will not come in between that love.
And people from all different backgrounds. I think
all hail Yuji Nagata.
It's good. All these people are connected to wrestling from different walks of life. You know,
but Tony, let me jump in. What he's saying is that when you have a fan come in, a fan's going to ask you in particular a question so you don't get upset with him, or so you are nice to them. And I spent 11 years at ESPN. That's not a reporter.
Sure.
A reporter is asking Tony Khan, why did you have a needle through a cheek tonight, and getting a straight answer. That's what a reporter does.
I appreciate that. And to be fair, the outlets that some of the legitimate journalists in wrestling work for and some of the people who walk the line, that's one of the interesting things. There's shades of gray among some of these outlets. It's not all the worldwide leaders in journalism and sports journalism competing for these spots. I think what's interesting to me, Coach and Vince, is I generally have said, I'll answer every question. I'll stay until everybody's gotten to ask something, and I want to hear everyone's questions. And I'm always open to hear what everyone thinks. And I hear what you're saying, that obviously fans of wrestling are going to receive wrestling positively, but those are also a lot of the people who've chosen to cover wrestling. So I think it's good. And I want to encourage people to cover wrestling and share their thoughts, whatever they may be. You know, and I think we all have different opinions on wrestling, but that's one of the things that makes it great, is it brings so many different people all over the world together so consistently every week, all year, forever.
But Joe, I got to ask you this, and then we'll move on, Tony. But so Tony, are you saying if I am a fan of the Jacksonville Jaguars and I got a Jacksonville Jaguar site and I've got 100,000 people on that site, are you going to let me into the post-game press conference?
Yeah. I do think, Vince, that the line to cover the team between some of the fan blogs and some of the reporting, that line in all sports is changing. You know, you see huge followings for some of these fan sites and fan blogs.
In other words, I will not get rid of the marks.
So I don't think that's exclusive to wrestling, where you're seeing people that have come from being big fans of a team or a sport. They have a Patreon, or they have a website or a blog, or all of the above. They have a social media presence. That's happening all over the world. That's happening in England with the Premier League. I think there's aspects of that in the NFL. You see some of these big fan blogs where they do get more and more access to the team. So I think it's a really interesting, nuanced point you're bringing up, Vince. But Coach, you may have seen some of that too, where some of the faces in the press room in sports changed also.
They certainly did change. There's no doubt about it. And I think, I do agree with you. I think it has changed over time, but I do think that it would serve you better, and it would serve the wrestling business better if we had the Chris Van Vliets in the room that are going to ask. The questions should not be fluff. Sometimes the fans, and this is one of the reasons we're excited to have you on today, is because I think it's going to help you as a really hardcore CEO to not always dance around a question, but answer it directly, because that can help you, because that's who I learned from. And I think that today is a good step forward for you and for us. So with that being said, and for those of you that are just joining us right now, of course, we're joined by Tony Khan.
Coachman is talking down to him in a way. This is funny as hell to me. This is just great comedy to me.
President and CEO of AEW. I want to talk about Jericho for a second, because he was on TV April 9th of 2025 and did not hear from him at all until last week. And so the rumor mill was going absolutely crazy. I watched you on Ariel Helwani. You were asked about Jericho, and you do a really good job of talking about Jericho other than what's actually going on. Tell us how close was he to going to?
He is burying Tony Khan. You're great at dancing around every question, you idiot. But you're going to speak to us directly. This is tremendous.
To WWE, and with bringing him back, what specifically do you want his role at 55 years of age to be?
Well, I've always wanted Chris to be a part.
What do you want a 55-year-old washed up has-been from Winnipeg? Why are you pushing a 55-year-old? That's funny.
Part of AEW from the very beginning, and I'm really glad that Chris is a part of AEW going forward. He always will be. And I can't say with any certainty. I do know Chris had a choice, and he wanted to be in AEW. He would be the best person to ask, but I know that I've been in communication with Chris, and he definitely told me he wanted to be at AEW, and very specifically in Winnipeg on that date. We've had that circled for a long time, going back to last year, and it was a choice that Chris made, that he'd rather be in AEW than wrestling anywhere else, and I think that's awesome. So I can't say for sure, Coach, exactly what his mind was and where he was thinking, but I know that he definitely always has been consistent that he loves AEW and that he wants to be here, and I'm glad that he chose to be in AEW because that's a choice he made because he was a free agent.
There you go. There you go. That's the first time I've heard you say that, and that's awesome. He was a free agent. He chose to stay. Fantastic. So let me...
There you go, you idiot. You finally answered a question directly. It only took 6 years. Oh, the subliminals are tremendous. Look at Tony Khan's face.
Follow that up with another talent question, because you've had, and the one thing that talent love about you is you pay them. You pay them.
Oh yeah, you're a money mark, you're a trick, you're a simp.
On time, and they're very, very happy. They love Tony Khan, and I think that's great in a boss. You've had some guys over time that sit out for a long period of time, and we don't know why. And then eventually, like a Ricky Saints, they'll talk and say, I'm healthy, I want to work. Or a Britt Baker who just was on a red carpet. They say, it's not my choice, I want to work. What's your thought process on using talent that most fans will say, I want to see a Ricky Saints, but he's not being used? What goes into that for you?
Well, I think, again, each wrestler is a case-by-case basis, but the people you named, I really like having in AEW. And in Britt's case, she is a part of AEW. In Ricky's case, he's somebody that wrestled here in the past. Mm-hmm. I think when you guys invited me to come on, I was really excited to talk to you about all aspects of wrestling. And one thing you guys know very well, Vince, you have a lot of experience with this from putting on lots of wrestling shows and shows on TBS and TNT. There's a limited amount of hours, and one thing that's been really good, I think, is there's been a real focus that the fans have noticed in AEW in the last year, and there's been people that have come, people that have gone, but I think the shows have had a...
All right, I got to speed this up. This is going to take forever. Jesus Christ.
A really great flow.
Hit the like button. Hit the like button.
There's been tremendous, as you guys mentioned. I think we've had fans that really enjoy our pay-per-views, but also the reception for our TV has been really strong, and now the viewership on TBS and TNT is the highest it's been in years. And a couple years ago, when we were doing these numbers, we didn't have any viewers on HBO Max. That was before with the simulcast. So I think we're in a good position right now. Each wrestler you're asking me about is on a case-by-case basis, but I try to make a plan going into the next pay-per-view, the next several weeks of television. And frankly, with the high-impact, high-velocity aspects of pro wrestling, there are constantly injuries, reasons why you might change these things. And I think for us, it's one of the reasons why you see wrestlers come or leave a lot of times is due to an injury. And then it may take some time to work somebody back in because you got different things going with different wrestlers. But I think it's been good for us with our 2 hours every Wednesday night that we do, like tomorrow night on TBS, and 2 hours every Saturday night on TNT. Not trying to jam 36 matches in 2 hours and try to keep focused on what we got. And our fans really like the show that we're doing right now. But absolutely, I've been bringing back some faces and really consistently have people that kind of come and go. There's an injury, you bring somebody back. It happens all the time. Just in recent weeks, we've seen, you mentioned Chris Jericho, Hikaru Shida, Private Party, and that's a great example because Private Party had some great matches upon their return. And then Mark Quinn, we announced, had an injury this past week when they were wrestling the Death Riders. And that's unfortunate. I really like Isaiah and Mark Quinn, but now Isaiah will be on his own without Mark.
Who? Stop talking about curtain jerkers. Where's the main eventers?
Mark went for several months at least. And that's a good example right there. Guys who I really like that have been here for a long time, that were away for a long time, came back, and we have an injury. That creates an opportunity for somebody else, either somebody to do more on the show that's already been on the show, or somebody to come back. Avoid that process.
Well,
it's fun to watch it.
Speaking of my show, Tony, I would love.
Hold on.
That process. I think watching a lot of wrestling, Vince, I like your show. That's one of the wrestling shows I like.
There you go.
There's another one right there. What he just said. Vince, I like your show. Tony Khan said that he likes JCW. He watches the TV show. He wasn't saying he was watching this a year ago. Russo starts writing, and Tony Khan says, I watch JCW and I like the show. This is another thing that had the Marks have a meltdown. Oh my God, Tony Khan, you talked to Vince Russo, and then you said you like his booking? Oh my God, these Marks, they might, Tony Khan might, Cornette and Meltzer and these Marks are going to lose their mind because he said, Vince Russo, I watch your show and I like your show. This is hysterical.
There's good young talent. There's veterans out there, and it's fun to watch it.
Speaking of my show, Tony, I would love, I'm throwing this olive branch out there. I would love to bring a Miss Britt Baker on our show. If you got too many bodies on AEW, I would love to bring Britt Baker on our show, JCW, and I will bring her on, Tony, to promote AEW. I would promise you, Tony, we'll get more eyeballs on AEW. So, Tony, I'm throwing that out there to you, and I'm not going to put you on the spot to answer. But speaking of more eyeballs, Tony, I got to ask you, Tony.
By the way, I'm not saying there's too many people in AEW where there's not. I really think Britt adds.
Is that a no? Is that a no? Is that a no?
It's like I said, every case is different.
Is that a no that Britt Baker can't come over?
No, it's not. It's not. You never know. And I think you do a great job. How is your process, Vince, now versus in years past? Because you.
See, this is fascinating. Tony Khan is asking Vince Russo, how do you write your show? This is the fascinating part. I don't know what the hell he was talking about 3 minutes ago. Mark Quinn, who the fuck is that? This is fascinating. Tony Khan, Vince Russo, I'm not telling you, there might be some sort of talent exchange.
Work for different companies in different eras of TV. Is it similar to what you would have done?
Has not changed. Has not changed at all. Doesn't matter who I'm working for, which is going to lead to my next question. Okay. And Tony, I am giving you this basically as something that I know worked for me a millionfold. Okay, Tony, I think a lot of bookers run into this problem. I think you run into this problem. I think Triple H runs into this problem. I saw Jeff Jarrett run into this problem.
Ain't I great?
I think when you're in a position of booking, okay, you tend to write a show that you like. And I'm not talking about you, just you. I've seen this a million times, Tony. Triple H is doing this. Triple H is writing a show that he likes. I never wrote a show for Vince Russo because, Tony, quite frankly, it doesn't matter what I like. What matters are the masses. That's what matters. And the numbers tell you what they're watching and where they're turning off the channel. You're given that information every single week. So what I'm throwing at you, Tony, is this. And it is what it is. But the very first show of AEW, 1.4 million people tried it out. By the time we got to the next week, that wasn't everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. That's okay. You're not going to, if you would have came back with 1.4 million the next week, it would have been incredible. You're going to lose people, but the bottom line is 1.4 million people tried out the product. By the time we got to the next week, we had about half. That just means, it doesn't mean it was bad. It means it wasn't for them. So here's my question to you, Tony, and this
by the next week.
is what I would, if I'm Tony Khan, this is what I'm doing. Bro, you got a hardcore built-in audience, and this audience will kill for AEW. They will kill. God forbid you say something negative about AEW.
He's about to say, Tony Khan, you have your Mark core. You don't need to play to them. At what point do you try to get people who are not watching wrestling anymore? And Tony Khan is about to give a around-the-world answer, basically saying, no, I like booking for Dave Meltzer. I don't want new fans.
Online, you might as well shut your computer off for a week. And Tony, that's attributed to you. The freaking loyalty is incredible. However, Tony, there's millions and millions and millions of casual wrestling fans out there, including me, that do not sit there and watch wrestling anymore every week. It's not the cup of tea that they liked or grew up on or the Attitude Era. It's different. As the writer, and you just asked me what I'm doing today, here's the bottom line with me. I want to get as many people as possible to watch this show.
Amen.
Whether
Amen.
you're a hardcore fan, whether you're a casual fan, entertainment fan, I want as many people as possible to watch this show. With that being said, Tony, have you had discussions? Do you have plans? Do you have ideas of how you may be able to open this up to the masses who may not be watching it right now?
Well, I think it's a great point, Vince, and I'm glad you asked because, again, different people have different philosophies. I love wrestling, and I put on a wrestling show that I think the fans of AEW really like. And there might be other wrestling promotions that have existed.
Great. And that's why it's doing 600,000. At what point do you put on a show that more people can like? AEW is like if you had an arena with 20,000 seats, but only 600 people are in the building, and you're like, well, I have 20,000 seats, but I'm okay with the 600 people here. I don't care about getting it 20,000 people. I'll just take the 600 people. That's what wrestling is like now. Well, we just have our little audience, and we're just gonna keep playing to our little audience, and we don't care about growing it. That's what this is.
Existed in history, but like you said, the AEW fans really like what we're doing. The network is thrilled with the viewership that we put together. And you mentioned being on since 2019. Well, if you look back, we started.
The network is not thrilled with your viewership as if they like the numbers. The network is thrilled because networks just want content now. They're not thrilled with ratings. They're thrilled with content.
In October 2019, and you mentioned where we're at now. I mean, from the second month of the show, there's a very similar audience watching right now. So for over 6.5 years, it's gone up.
You did a 1-3 the first show. You're doing 600,000 now.
Up at times, it's gone down, but right now it's in a strong period, and we've
Tony,
been able
that's
to
what I'm
maintain
saying.
and at
Yeah.
times grow that.
Doing 600,000 viewers is strong. Struggling to sell tickets in America is strong. They were struggling to sell tickets for so long, they had to downsize and do shows at the ECW arena and the Impact Zone. Oh, God.
You've got those people. You've got
Right, you have them.
Tony, they're not going nowhere. You've got those people. It was my mentality when
Russo is desperately pleading Tony Khan, you have your mark audience. Please book for other people who are not marks. The marks will not leave you. They will cry and complain, but they won't stop watching. Go for people who used to watch wrestling.
when I went to the WWE, we had those people. How do we get the people not watching the show? And that's when the Attitude Era was born and you saw numbers go through the roof. Those were people that were not watching wrestling. Those people you got now, God bless them. Tony, you got them. They ain't going anywhere. How do we open this up to bypass the WWE?
Exactly. Russo is desperately... This is what every real fan has wanted to say to Tony Khan and Triple H and McMahon for years. Desperately pleading, can you please book for other people than your little mark group? They will never leave. Everyone else has left. Get them back. What's Tony Khan's response to this desperate plea going to be?
Challenge the WWE, Tony.
That's what I'm talking about.
Tony, we're behind you, Tony.
For God's sakes, put AEW on Monday nights versus Raw. Damn.
Well, what are we doing, Tony? That's what we're asking you.
I think that we've got great fans of AEW and a great fan base, and I appreciate your point, but I do think those fans hold us to a high standard. They want a great show, and I plan to deliver a strong show every Wednesday and every Saturday. And I appreciate your point. We constantly want to grow the viewership. That's why I wanted to come talk to you. You invited me on the show. You've got a lot of fans. A lot of them might not watch AEW. But to your point, Vince, I may have a great audience. I do have a great audience. But it's grown in recent months. And it's people coming back. It's people trying the show out. It's new fans. I like where we're at right now. I like where we're at right now better than a year or even 2 years ago. And I really you can't go backwards. You can't go back in time, and that's a huge thing to me. It's important to look back at history and learn from it, but we all know you can't go back, and there's no second chance to do the exact same thing over again. All you can do is learn.
Which is hysterical, because you can't go back. You can't do something old, yet your entire booking is New Japan in the 90s. Your entire booking is Ring of Honor in 2003. Your entire booking is... In other words, I don't know how to do what you're asking me to do, so I'll just stick with my 600,000 marks.
Learn from it. So over the past 6 years, I've tried to learn from different people. I've never gotten to meet you, Vince, and you've got a lot of experience in wrestling. We definitely, anybody who's watched the shows that we work on would say those guys have totally different approaches.
I said it before, I'll say it again. If you are a fan of WWF Raw is War, Nitro, ECW, if you're a fan of the Monday Night Wars, Attitude Era, the closest you will ever get to that coming back is Vince Russo's JCW. You're not, if you're an idiot who keeps watching Raw and every week you think maybe this is the week it gets better, you're an idiot. If you watch AEW, no. If you want WWF, WCW, ECW type wrestling, watch JCW. That is the closest we will ever get. Ever. JCW lunacy.
To wrestling, and that's great. When I watch your show, I think, man, there's some really cool stuff in here. It's very different from how an AEW show would be, but that's good. I like seeing different approaches. I think you do some brilliant things. Even some of the transitions from the backstage to the wrestling matches, right, and the vignettes, there's some brilliant things. And you're still doing it 30 years later from when you started working on writing wrestling shows. I think it's phenomenal.
Tony, you do know by what you just said, I just want to clarify something. By what you just said, David Meltzer is never going to talk to you ever again. I just want you to...
The fact that you just complimented me in my show means Dave Meltzer will never speak to you again. This is an infamous interview already. This is infamous. We're not. Oh my God. This is an infamous interview. My God. This will go down in the annals of Cornette's wife.
Be aware, for you to come on here and put my writing over, your relationship with Dave is over.
No, you know what, Dave? Everybody's got different perspectives on wrestling, Vince, and both of you might have a different perspective than each other, and your perspectives may be more similar to each other than they are to mine. But to that point, I saw Dave Meltzer, and he and I disagree on this. He asked why I would come on the show because he thinks at times you guys have been critical. I can't say I know chapter and verse.
Once again, Dave Meltzer, the mind of a child. Why would you go on his show? He's been critical of you. That is the most feminine, your mother, grandmother statement in the world. Men don't think like that. Men don't act like that. First of all, if someone's been critical of you, wouldn't you approach them even sooner? Let me get to speak to this person. Let me understand why exactly they're critical of me. Let me get some Men look for understanding, not a place to hide. But Dave Meltzer's not a man. These are not men. That statement he just said that Meltzer said, well, why would you go on the show, Tony? That is a female bitchy statement. Men do not talk or think like that. But that's how these marks in the comments are, and this is how this mark audience who watches current wrestling thinks. People who think and talk like that they think Cody Rhodes is a top guy.
Everything you guys have ever said about AEW, but it seemed like a nice invitation to come on the show, and I have respect for both of you and your accomplishments, and I thought it was a nice thing when I saw you invited me to...
What did Coachman accomplish in this business? The lead voice of Sunday Night Heat.
Come on, and Dave said, why would you want to come on the show with anybody that's been critical? And in his opinion, he said some of it...
Meltzer said, why would you do a show with anybody who's ever been critical? Right there. In other words, well, if this person isn't blowing you and glazing you, what? Just that statement. Why would you do a show with someone who's been critical of you? This is the soft, sensitive, bitch-like society you're living in. Why would you talk to someone who criticized you? What?
It wasn't in good faith. I don't know that.
In 1,000%. And yeah, we're just But the thing that's different about us than every other show is we ask the questions on how to help.
How much vodka does he have in that mug?
Help you grow the show. And Meltzer's just a reporter.
Meltzer's behind the camera. This is Meltzer's booking office. Meltzer just said, wrap this up. We have to book Dynamite.
We've done this for well over 20 years inside the business, not reporting on the business. So we've seen it, and we've been there for good, for bad, for growth, for millions, and all of that. So you just said...
Meltzer's tickling Khan's feet under the table.
A couple of things I want to hit on.
Meltzer's wearing a Travis Hunter jersey with the back cut out.
Because you said we're always looking to grow the audience.
And the jersey number's written in Japanese.
Well, let's start right there. And then also one of the big things that WWE is dealing with is the mispricing of tickets. And they literally insulted themselves on last night's show, and they tagged us because we've been saying it, not criticizing. That's the fact and that's the truth. And Pat McAfee tagged us because we've been saying that. So I ask you that to say this. You have fan-friendly pricing. You have some of your talent out there talking about fan-friendly pricing. But then you have a pay-per-view where you have somebody sticking a needle through somebody's face. And if you're growing the audience, Tony, and if they're coming to you during the day and saying, we're having a Texas death match and we're trying to do this, I'm all for a hardcore match here and there. But you're at a point right now that your company has a chance to really grow. Your company, Tony, has a chance to grab some of those fans from WWE. Is that the smartest play when you know that people are trying you out? And the proof of that is after Revolution, you've had 3 straight weeks of more and more and more. So when they come to you and you decide how those hardcore things are going to happen, what is your approach? And what is your answer to those talent?
It, again, is a case-by-case basis. There are absolutely some hardcore things that I said I don't think would be a good idea, but it's usually for the sake of safety. There are times where I've run things by the network, but, Coach, the example you just gave was a pay-per-view. So I do think that the violence and the excitement, some of the hardcore stuff on a pay-per-view, that can be another level of hardcore violence in pro wrestling. And when you watch a pay-per-view, and certainly to the point you just made, Coach, we've had great viewership since AEW Revolution. So I think there was a really positive response to the Revolution show. There may be, out of 100 different wrestling moves and things that happen on the show, there could be...
I will say this. For the company that this is, the size they are, that's what she said, they've always done strong buy rates for the size of a company they are. I will say that.
95 you liked and 5 you didn't. And I think people would respond more positively than the 95 they did like.
Hey, Tony, I'm gonna give you another tool in the toolbox. Okay?
You're getting a master's class today, Tony. A master's class.
Come on, Tony. Yeah, Tony, listen.
Russo tried. He tried to plead with this individual.
I had a philosophy. Remember, you're a historian. You know everything that goes on. Nitro was kicking our ass. Make no question about it. Okay? Here was my philosophy. When you're number 1, number 2 does not exist. You don't bring them up. You don't talk about them. Pardon my French, they're a pimple on your ass. When you're number 2, you throw the kitchen sink at number 1.
Monday night.
What I'm talking about is DX invading, WCW's building, and, the shots fired at, Nitro and Bischoff and WCW, and say what you want. But at the end of the day, that paid off. You are in a position now, Tony, where WWE, man, is doing a lot of damage control, man. They are reeling. There is a lot of negative press right now with ticket prices. Creative sucks. I'll just say it, Tony. There's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of people turning away from the WWE. Here's the window. Stick the screws in, Tony. Stick the screws in. Use that tool in the toolbox, Tony. Use it. Don't be afraid to use it because, Tony, you're a historian. It freaking worked. It worked, and it would work again because now it's exactly what Coach said. You may have people leaving the WWE, coming to AEW, and all of a sudden, if the little guy is taking some shots, I like this. Tony, we started taking shots at the WWE because here was my mentality. I wanted people to say, oh my God, I don't believe they have the balls to do that. Do it, Tony, do it.
So I changed my approach, Vince. At the beginning of AEW, there really was a really collective rebel spirit. And now I think AEW is very established, and people know AEW's got a really quality product and a lot of fans. And I do want to grow that fan base, Vince. But the way I would do something now might be different than how I would have done it 6 or 7 years ago. And I also think it's possible that Vince Russo and Vince McMahon and DX could succeed by zigging at one point, where I might succeed by zagging at another point. And there's different ways to get to success. And I've got my ideas in my way, but I can learn from different people. And I might.
In other words, like everything else, in other words, it's not in my character to do that. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to bother anybody. I just want to book cards that Meltzer gives 8 stars. And I just want to maintain my 600,000 viewers. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. And, maybe I could just, make Fight Forever too. I don't want to disturb anything.
Not incorporate every aspect of it, but I do want to hear your thoughts and ideas. I think it's interesting. I don't disagree with everything you're saying, but I think the AEW fans would also agree. I've refined my own media strategy.
Well, this is a great example of the difference between a mark who has a wrestling company versus an actual wrestling booker, writer, visionary. The statement he just made, the statement he's making, would Vince McMahon say what he just said in 1996? Would Eric Bischoff say what he just said in 1995? Paul Heyman would never have said that in ECW. Bill Watts would have never said that. Jerry Jarrett would have never. Any of these bookers in the prime of their booking are going against another company or territory would have never just said what he said. This is why wrestling is the way it is. The lead person has no testicular fortitude. No, I don't. It's great. So you fake tried to have a war with them for 5 years, but now in 2026, when the company's weaker than ever, no, I don't want. How can wrestling have these type of people in it, and these people are leading it? If God came down from the heavens and told Tony Khan, if you attack World Wrestling Entertainment, if you went on Monday nights, if you directly took shots at them, if you got aggressive against them, your rating would go from 600,000 to 5 million. Tony Khan would say, "I'm sorry, God, but it's I don't want to bother anybody, and I know that you're God, so you just guaranteed it would do that. But I just I liked it. I don't want to really war with them. I just want a fake dirt sheet war with them. The real war is we get 8-star matches and they get 2-star matches. That's the real. I don't want a real war with them. I liked it better when it was like us beating NXT, like us." A national company is beating a developmental company. We want to beat the developmental show. We don't want to actually beat Raw. No. Sorry, God. This is what it sounds like to me.
And I think people have seen me trying to take the high road. Some of it is the fact that, like you,
the high road. You're pushing a tranny as the world champion. This is the wrestling business. This is no place for taking the high road. What the fuck you mean? The high road. What? This is the wrestling business. What high road? What you mean high road, mother? You had. I take back that respect for Tony Khan. It's a little bit there because he still came on here, but he came on here and he just displayed what we all know about him. He doesn't have any. He doesn't have any nuts. He just wants to go along to get along. He's taking the safe route. Dixie Carter was horrible, but even she said, F Vince McMahon, I'm going on Monday nights. I want to challenge them. She did it wrong, but even Dixie Carter had testicles that Tony Khan does not have.
And again, we have different approaches, but I think we're coming from the same place on this. Like you, Vince, I believe in taking the high road when possible. So when Dave Meltzer said, why would you want to go on this show? I said, first of all, I'm not going to hold anything anybody said about AEW against them for the rest of their lives. That's not what Christianity is. That's not what Jesus would do. We just
praise
celebrated
the Most High.
And so we have different philosophies, but I feel like by taking the high road...
even God wants better booking. And I don't mean JBL.
That's rub people the right way. Different people could say different things. There's some things, Vince, that you or some people in wrestling could say that might be perceived different coming from you than if it was me saying it. I don't know what it is about me, but I think I have a different voice than you have. So for me, this is good. And I'm not saying trying to kill everybody with kindness, but being nice to people has gotten me a long way. And I've been trying to do it more in recent years.
Being nice,
and I think that's fine. But you're also in the world of pro wrestling, and you can be a nice guy and all that. You mentioned talking to Meltzer twice, and I asked you at the start of the interview, who is the people around you that you listen to? Because it's impossible to come up with all of these creative ideas by yourself. So are you actively talking to Meltzer? Because I know you're not talking about his radio show. Like, do you call? Does he call you and say, hey, why would you go on there? Because we don't even bring him up because he...
Coach is kicking the door down. Do you get your booking from Dave Meltzer? We all know the answer, but let's just proceed. Hit the like button, man. Subscribe to this channel if you're not.
He is like a pitbull on our ass, and I don't respect what he has to say. I did.
Meltzer's like a pimple on our ass. Maybe you need to get that checked, Coach. Look at Coach and Tony Khan's faces. They're making the same face.
Bring him up. I think that was name.
I brought him up.
No, he brought him up, not me. I'm saying on a normal show, we don't. because he's part of the world of just throwing stuff against the wall, but he's never been backstage at a wrestling show.
He has been backstage at a wrestling show. I've seen Dave backstage.
Right, and
maybe at yours.
Yeah. AEW in New Japan. Meltzer's backstage at a New Japan show. They're calling him Gaijing. He thinks it's a compliment. Meltzer was backstage at an ECW show because him and Heyman are small hats. Great.
And immediately kicked out, Tony. And immediately kicked out.
Again, there's different examples of different things. But I'm not saying that's the person in the office working on all the shows. I used a good example of this earlier. I'm the only person that goes to every show and is working on every show through the years. There's different people. And Vince, you might appreciate this. Not everybody has the 24 hours, 7 day a week, 365 day a year wrestling engine. Some people want some time off between shows. That's not me. I'm going to be there every week all the time, but I respect giving other people some time off between shows. Maybe only coming once a week instead of both shows every week.
What the hell does that have to do with the question, is Meltzer booking the show?
Or taking a couple weeks off with your family. That's okay. I use this, not to reuse an analogy, but I got asked a similar question to this, and I had an answer that is answering with an example from a movie. And it's a scene in Ghostbusters when they're driving over the bridge, and you see Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd in the car, and it's Ray and Winston. When the car is driving on the bridge, those were not the two Ghostbusters anybody was expecting to see in the car. We've never seen just those two together at any point, but that's how work goes. Like, it's two people. It's not just the same two people in the office every day. I have a lot of people in the office, but at the end of the day, there's really one person that has to kind of sit down and make the decision which matches and segments go where. But I do like to hear lots of different ideas. You can only hear so many ideas in a week and a day. So again, like Vince, I'm sure you have your own process. You've worked on hundreds and hundreds of wrestling shows, and it sounds like you have a pretty consistent process.
Well, Tony, I'm going to tell you this because I know, because we study you, Tony.
Drank again and completely avoided is Dave Meltzer, who you get your booking from. Tony Khan went all around the world again.
Tony, we study you, Tony. And I do want to say this. I know.
Who would be the Janelle Grant of AEW?
Oh, your inspiration. You've brought that Ghostbuster reference up before. I know you are a time cop, total mark. I know that. We've established that. Tony, can I share something with you when I need to be inspired? Like you watch Time Cop. Can I play for you what I play when I need to be inspired?
Please, I would love to know.
I need total silence, Tony. Don't interrupt this. This is on my soundboard. This clip gets played, I'd say, at least once a day.
Okay.
Here we go, Tony.
This is what we envisioned in January, okay? Yes, sir. It's happening here in September.
Love this.
Go on forever.
Forever, Tony! Forever! Tony, what about the respect to Father Shad? Once a week I play that, Tony. That's got to be worth something.
It is, and what makes it even better to me is to know my dad was in the locker room, and I don't even know that he understands he was doing Terry Funk. But my dad did Terry Funk in the locker room, and I thought it was so cool. And I don't know if there was one other person there. I was there when he did it, and that's what I was thinking, is Dad's doing the Terry Funk, and he's killing.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Tony, thank you for time. We'll only take a few more minutes, but there's a couple other topics I wanted to get into. And thank you again for the time. And I think one thing, you bring up everybody has different experiences, and I appreciate you not listening to the people around you. I think we've been not only very respectful, but asking you some difficult questions because we want this business to grow. That's what we're all about. The reason we're growing so fast is people have found us because they know there's no fluff. They know that we get right to it. So when you hear that from people, because of the
another subliminal, we get to it. How come you don't?
way you normally do some interviews? Have you had media coaches or people like us around you that are honest with you? Because it's really hard when you're in a position like yourself to have people be honest with you because of the power you bring not only from the Jacksonville Jaguars side, but being a billionaire owner of AEW. I've always wondered that.
I hope so, and I believe so. I'm trying my best, and I do think I get good, honest feedback on those things. But I also think I learn from experience. The more
good, honest feedback is the show did a 0.5, but Meltzer gave it 7 stars in the main event.
Been around it, I pick up things. It's interesting learning from other people too, other people who've worked in wrestling. Vince, I thought you did a fantastic interview. I don't agree with every wrestling idea that you have. You don't agree with every wrestling idea I have, but that's okay. I think I had a perception of you that was different, and then I heard you on Steve Austin's podcast. And I thought that was such a fantastic interview. I learned a lot from listening to it, and I learned a lot about you, and it gave me a different perspective on you. So then when I go out and do different podcasts with people I respect, obviously you and Steve knew each other very well. You had a rapport. It came off immediately. I don't know you guys, but I hope that I can make a new fan and hopefully get insights from you guys, and people will want to see more AEW because of this conversation. Tony, do you know how I'm sorry, Coach. Before I forget this. Tony, do you know how I was first introduced to you? AEW is first starting, and they are interviewing Tony Khan. Now, I don't know Tony Khan from Adam. I would suggest after this interview, we're pretty good friends. We're best buds.
Besties.
I didn't know you from Adam. Tony, this is what you said. Tony, I did not know you. Vince Russo went into WCW and they had a hangnail. Vince proceeded to cut the entire arm off. Tony,
I'm sorry. I'm not sure that's fair.
Yeah, Tony. Tony. You took that. Now, Tony, Coach. One thing. I got to ask one question.
Now, by the way, Vince. Now knowing more history and having seen a lot more, I don't think that was fair to you. And I'm
joking, Tony. I'm joking.
We don't take anything personal here.
Tony, I got to ask you a question out of my morbid curiosity. Then I'm going to ask you a very serious question. Okay, so I'm going to throw a softball and then a fastball, and then I'm going to give it to Coach. Tony, we study you. We love you. We love when you go out in front of the people at AEW and you do the horse stomp. I pop freaking huge for that. And when you just go into promoter voice, when you lower the voice I pop huge for that. Here's the mystery we can't solve. At these scrums, Tony, it's always like 4 cups. Like there isn't just one cup in front of you. No, there's like 4. What's in the various cups? So you got like in all the cups. 4 cups.
Black coffee.
Okay.
Wow.
Here's a fastball. Tony's come right at your head. Tony, listen, I swear to God, it is so cool. Listen, man, God bless you and Shad. You're a wealthy family. You have a lot of money. With that, your dream able to come true of owning a wrestling company, right? So obviously, bro, this is a dream. You always talk about booking when you were a kid and everything. That God bless you. Good for you. Bro, I wish I could own a baseball team. Like, it's phenomenal. So, Tony, let's face it. You're going in this. Bro, this is rainbows, unicorns. This is my dream. I can't wait to get this thing started. Then we have the CM Punk scrum. Tony, I got to tell you something. While you're sitting there and I'm watching you, to me, like my knee jerk was, Tony Khan, welcome to the world of professional wrestling, because you went in, thinking this was going to be great, a million ideas. You've waited for this your entire life, and then you're hit with the reality of the wrestling business. The question I want to ask you, because Tony, I'll never forget you sitting there, and I felt so freaking bad. I'm like, this guy did not see this thing coming. You didn't know what to do. Like, it was so freaking awkward. But here's what I want to ask you. What did you learn from that particular moment in time? What did you take away from that time?
I came out of that wanting for AEW to succeed and for AEW to continue more than anything. And what we were able to do to rebound from that, obviously, I wanted, in a perfect world, everybody to be able to get together and work together. I don't think that was possible, but I also think that we've been able, in the past few years, to really keep AEW strong. To me, that was the most important thing. I learned a number of things. I probably would do things differently, say things differently, but like you said, it wasn't something I was expecting. You're very experienced in wrestling, and that was a very much a welcome to wrestling in some aspects of it, because that was, for me, I'd been in wrestling for almost 4 years at that point, but that was certainly a first for me. And as with all firsts, you're going to learn from them, and hope not to ever have a repeat.
Tony, I know we've kept you an hour. We're going to have to do a part 2 of this. I got just 2 very quick questions, and then we'll let you out because we know you're busy, and hopefully you'll want to come back because we'd love to have you.
That'd be great.
All right, so on my SiriusXM show, we had the reporter who uncovered back in 23 all of the different people who bid to buy WWE, and it came out that a company that you own bid about $6.9 billion, I believe, to buy the WWE. Why did you do that?
I was very interested in the process, and I think that if there was going to be a sale, I would at least want to have a chance to be involved. And if it had gone for any less than that, I would have really kicked myself.
Were you ever given a chance? Because we've seen a lot of the stories, and who knows what to believe, but we were told and found out that it wasn't a bidding process, that it was a we're going to go over here process. Is that how it played out for you? Were you given a chance to outbid the others?
While respecting the confidentiality of that, I would say I don't have any complaints about that process from my side right now that I want to talk about right now. I do think there was some stuff to that, and while respecting the confidentiality of the whole thing, I also would say that at the time that seemed like, to me, just reiterating, if it had gone for any less, I would have really beat myself up. Like, why wouldn't you put in a bid? It was, I thought that was a very reasonable number that I put in.
Well, it was, because it was in the $6 to $7 billion. You bid market value. That's true.
That's what's been written. And again, that's not for me. But now, based on the information that's out there, I've gone out of my way to be respectful. Again, going back to taking the high road, that's not something I've really talked about or gone out and tried to act big league or talk big league about. I've really tried to focus on the wrestling show, and that was several years ago. And thankfully, those have been really good years for AEW.
Well, we do homework here, and we like to come in and be prepared. And I think you've seen that we are very prepared.
Coachman is taking so many shots at him and the people that he does interviews with usually. We get to the point where we're not about to blow you for an hour, like Cornette's wife.
Today. The last one is, and I think some of the feedback you've got about us being critical is we say we are critical of things here on the show, but the one thing we do that nobody else does is we give a solution. We say, here's what we think of the problem, and then Vince says, as you've seen today, here's what I would do. And so to me, if you don't want to do it, I feel, and Vince usually agrees with me, that you could use a powerful, authoritative voice in your show, because a lot of times your guys will fight, make a match, and it's made without so much, or maybe the announcer say, hey, we confirmed with Tony Khan at the commercial break. You met with Shane McMahon. There are pictures of you meeting with Shane McMahon. Was that ever close? And have you ever thought about, if you don't want to be that character, of bringing one in?
Well, first of all, so we've been on so long that I have run the battery so much now that I'm going to do a little set change here.
Okay.
And plug in. So if you can give me 1 second, I'm actually going to plug in into the outlet here and keep this thing going because I don't want to rush off. So just
no, man, this is awesome. No, we love the time, and thank you.
No, it's my pleasure, guys. It's really my pleasure. So I've enjoyed it a lot too. And so here I'm moving closer to the.
There we go. We got you again.
So this is good. So in all seriousness, okay. So first of all, can you?
We see you. We hear you perfectly. You're good.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure you can hear me and see me. Great. I think that's a fair point. Now, you could argue who would be the right person for that. I do think that the mechanic of matchmaking, for example, in the NFL, when I watch NFL football, and I have a ton of respect for him, he would be the first person to say that's not the reason people are watching the games, is to see Commissioner Roger Goodell. He's a huge part of the game. He's important to the function of the game. He's instrumental to what we do with the NFL. But it's not like every time I watch NFL, NFL is the most watched show in the country. 90 or more out of the top 100 programs are NFL football. And for me, again, the commissioner is a huge part of the game, but the commissioner of a sport doesn't necessarily need to be all over the show. So, when people talk AEW, I think people generally kind of know that I'm the commissioner of AEW, but I also don't think that that's necessarily a role that you want to see on TV. Now, Vince, your perspective on this might have changed because when you started doing the writing in WCW originally, I don't think you intended to be a character in the show. And you were a device in the show, but did your ideas change about why you would or wouldn't want to do that?
Yeah, first of all, I wouldn't recommend it if you work on the show. If you need to just be a character, because being a character on the show, it's going to take away from your other responsibilities of the show. That's why I never enjoyed doing that, Tony.
That makes sense. That makes good sense.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I think that's really good advice. And for me, I haven't had to deal with it much other than, if there's a big announcement.
Isn't Russo a character on JCW and the writer right now?
Like we're going to Wembley Stadium, something where it's really worthwhile that I think I want to be a big part of it, or there's a good reason why I should be in there. Like when we announced AEW All in London, which is coming back this year, going back to London Wembley Stadium, where we set the world record. We sold 81,000 tickets.
Oh, you guys are doing it. You guys are doing it in those big stadiums for sure. Because I know we're low on time. So the other part of that was Shane McMahon. How close did that come? Is that anything you would want to do in the future?
I had one really pleasant conversation with Shane. Shane reached out to me and said, "I'd love to get together. And where are you going to be?" And I was going to be in Dallas. We were doing a bunch of shows around Arlington, Texas. And I had said to Shane, that's where I'm going to be. I can meet you here. And we had a nice conversation. We talked for a few hours in the airport. I thought it was really strange that a photo came out from it. I thought it was pretty unusual. It could just be somebody that worked at the airport, but I know I had nothing to do with it. It's very unusual. I talk to people all the time from all different media places. Now, Shane's a very recognizable face in sports and especially in the world of wrestling, where almost any wrestling fan is going to recognize him. So that could be what it is. Somebody recognized that we were in a room and wanted to take a photo. I'm in a lot of rooms with a lot of people. I've only had that happen to me one time. So I thought that was pretty unusual, that the photo. You could see in the photo, I'm very surprised when the person walked into the room. Yeah. And I noticed he wasn't as surprised in the photo as I was.
So maybe there was something there. Yeah.
But I've only had the one really nice talk with him. I thought that was interesting. And I also thought it was quite impressive that in one conversation, somehow it got out that I had talked to him. But that was really it. But it was a very pleasant chat, and he seemed like a really interesting guy. I don't think the role of being like an on-screen person in a wrestling show seemed like particularly the thing he was interested in. But, he had a lot of interesting things and experiences that are totally different than mine. But I don't particularly think he went into it thinking I want to be a character on this guy's show.
Yeah, I dealt with him with a different company, so I know exactly what you're not saying, but I agree with you 1,000%. He's looking for ownership. He's looking to be on your level because I dealt with that with a different company that I just worked with. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I want to show you a couple of good things that I think you need to hear some really positive about you before I do that. Vince, are you good? You have anything else?
Can I just say one thing to Tony?
Sure, absolutely.
Tony, I love the fact on this show, you pointing out your Christianity. I also love the fact of you pointing out the high road. Tony, listen, I don't know you from Adam. This is the first time we have had a conversation. If you really listen to Russo Brand, you would have heard me say a million times, this is a good guy. You might not agree with his wrestling philosophy. This is a good guy and a good human being. With that being said, Tony, I just want to tell you, you got the competition rocking and reeling. I'm not telling you to take the low.
Russo, this is the greatness of Vince Russo. Before they got out of here, one last plea. Please, Tony Khan, be more aggressive in your approach.
Low road? That's not what I'm telling you. There are creative ways to take advantage of that. That's what I'm passing along to you because, Tony, listen, you own the Jaguars. You own a soccer team. When your opponent is vulnerable, what do, man? You go for the
deep. You go deep.
They're vulnerable, Tony. And what I'm telling you is I would never say, yeah, Tony, go in the dirt and take the low road. I'm telling you there are creative ways now where you can start winning over some of their fans. And I just hope you're open to thinking about those ways.
Well, I know that a lot of those fans have a lot of respect for you, Vince, and you did some great things there, a lot of great things at a very instrumental time. So I hope that by coming here and having this great interaction with you, that I rubbed some of those people the right way too.
Oh, you definitely have. I can tell you this. Two things we're going to get out of here. This is the by far the highest live audience we've ever had. And in the chat, there's so many great remarks about you, and I just want to throw up a few and read them to you so you can hear them, Tony. Smartest Mark alive. He's a guy, Tony, that started his podcast because of our podcast, and he says this: Tony, thank you for giving us wrestling fans another outlet with pro wrestling as the focus and not corporate greed. AEW has helped me in some of the lowest points in my life, providing an outlet of happiness and an escape to the stress of life. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
That's really great to hear. Well, thank you, Smartest Mark Alive. I really appreciate that. I'm really glad that AEW's been able to help you and like you.
Smartest Mark Alive. Is this Dave Meltzer?
Smartest Mark Alive. I love pro wrestling, and this is what I'm talking about, guys. It's, this is somebody that has had great experiences with wrestling. It makes him feel better, and it's there for you every week. It's the one thing, pro wrestling, that will always be there for you every week. There's no off season. We don't take a break from it, and you can always count on it. So I really appreciate when we hear that, and that's one of the reasons why I love doing wrestling every week.
All right, well, we're just rolling through them right now as you're talking all these great messages to you. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I wish Tony Khan had bought the WWE. At least he cares about the wrestlers and the fans. That's a fact. I think, Tony, as we wrap this up, I said at the beginning, we wanted people to understand we don't dislike AEW. We love wrestling, and maybe there's a misconception a little bit of you, and I think that we've done both of those things today. So thank you for the time, and you are welcome to come back and have another conversation. We'd love to do it again.
I appreciate the invitation. I would love to come back. It's been really nice visiting with both of you. I very much enjoyed it, and thanks for having me on, and I'm sure I'll see you both again soon. I want to wish you both good luck. I hope you both had a great Easter, and I hope I get to see you both again soon.
I hope so, too.
All
right, thank you, Tony.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
That is one and only AEW president and CEO, Tony Khan. And as I told you, I appreciate all the super stickers. We're not going to go through all of them right now. I appreciate them. We do. But we have to get to something out. Vince, I want to get your reaction to he gave us a lot.
This was a good interview, but it's Vince Russo literally did what any real fan would have liked to say to any of these bookers and promoters the last 20 years. And nothing will change out of this. But at least someone got to finally say, how come you do this? How can you do this? Why don't you do this? Take advantage of this. At least someone got to say it to one of these people finally. They need to get Triple H on here. I want Triple H on here. It'll never happen. Never happen.
Hour and 10 minutes.
First things first.
Yeah.
You people listening to the show now, we got a big collective audience. Okay. Yep. Several times during the week, I get mostly text messages from Coach, and I get scolded over multiple things. And I always walk away with my tail between my legs. You're right. You're right. It won't happen again. You're right. You're right. This goes on all week long. So I'm given a format today with questions because Coach don't trust Vinny Roo. So Coach is okay, Vince, here it is. Vince, this is the format. Vince, here's what we're going to do. Just so everybody knows, I'm following this format because I don't want to. Literally 5 minutes into this format, I'm looking at this. I'm like, wait a minute. This ain't on the format.
We have over 5,000 people watching live
right
now.
Oh, my God.
That made him think a little bit. And I think he's going to go back. My takeaway is, Tony, is because I wanted to make sure and keep you
That's
like
crazy.
over 5,000.
That's nuts.
So here's where you were great, is that I think my takeaway is, Tony, is every bit as nice as people say that he is. I think that we got more out of him than anybody else ever has. And I think that with you giving your experience before the questions, that made him think a little bit. And I think he's going to go back and he's going to use some of your advice. So for that, I thought you were awesome.
No, he's not.
I thought you were awesome.
No, he's not.
thought, and listen,
No,
Tony
not.
and his PR guy may still be listening, and that's okay. I'm going to be honest with you, Coach. I was a little concerned at the beginning because I think at the beginning we started getting, the
I tried to jump in there, yeah.
the Tony Khan answer interview, but I really, and this is why, Coach, I mean, honestly, this is going to be Vince was kissing Tony Khan's ass. No, what Vince was trying to do was use humor to lighten Tony up. Tony, and Coach, I think if you look at the beginning of that interview, by the time we got to the end, we're having a conversation with the guy.
1,000%.
And that's why I kept going to these little different things to kind of get him out of, because you got to be, Coach, let's call it what it is. He's probably done thousands of interviews with that response. He's got the set response.
Oh, he does. He does.
He's so used to doing that. And listen, this ain't a Tony Khan thing. This is anybody who goes through the media and has 1,000 interviews. After a while, bro, I got 2 interviews after this, Coach. I know what they're going to ask me, and I know how I'm going to answer. But I think we were getting, I was a little concerned, and that's why I'm like, we gotta loosen this guy up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think he was great. I mean, Coach, even when you said we never heard that much about the meeting with Shane McMahon before.
Not at all.
I don't know if
Not at all.
anybody's ever asked him about his bid for the. I don't know if anybody's ever asked him that.
Right? Well, by that point, he respected us. I'm seeing the chat.
If they haven't done it already, they will. Meltzer and Alvarez are going to cry like the biatches they are over this interview. Oh, I might have to. I avoid these idiots, but I might have to tune in for them. If they're not already crying, they're going to be crying even more.
Chat, and the chat agrees with us. Producer man, throw a few of those up real quick, because the chat agrees that we got more out of you. You got Omar, which is rare. And that's the thing about that you guys need to understand in interviewing, that if a person feels comfortable, but also you have a respect. And he clearly respected us from what we've done in the business. And I'm not shading anybody else, Vince. But when you just have a regular person asking him questions, he's going to come and go. He's going to come and go and never think about that show or that person again. And I think with us, he started to wait a second. Not only are these guys not what Meltzer said, and by the way, I take pride in that. I take pride in that. Yep. Why would you go on their show? How about having a show that people want to go on instead of sitting in front of a gray wall? But whatever. And I think he realized, wait a second, these guys aren't coming at me, but they're also not giving me fluff. We didn't give him fluff. We asked direct questions that people want to know.
Yep.
That's it. That's it. So, all right, we've got to end it. I apologize. Normally we read all the super stickers, but I told you before.
Wait a minute, Coach. We're not done with your format. Hold on. We got more things, Coach.
No, I told people we weren't taking super stickers today, so I got to go pick up my son. He's at school. I got to get him. He's got a big match today. Vince, this was awesome.
Awesome, Coach. Thank you. It was fun. It was fun. It was awesome. It was great. And thank you guys. Amazing turnout, Coach.
Amazing. We need a part 2. We'll make it happen in 6 months.
All right. I'm up out of here. Like this video. What are your thoughts? Leave them in the comment section. An infamous interview.